Yep.
Okay.
I think we're ready to roll. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a quorum. We're going to get started. 16 is a quorum. I think we get either 16 or 17. First thing we need to do this morning is to adopt the rules. Rules are in your folder. They're basically the same rules we operated with last year. If I could have a motion on the rules. So moved, Senator Mullis. Have a second. Second by Senator. Okay, Senator. See, any discussion on the rules? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, and all opposed. There are no opposing votes. The rules are adopted. There is an agenda in your folder, and the first order of business is Senate Bill 67. We're going to call on Senator Burke to come up and present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring you guys Senate Bill 67. This bill addresses a funding gap for local school systems in two specific or distinct scenarios. One is the funding of repairs of damaged school buildings due to natural disasters, and this issue was brought forward in my district due to Hurricane Michael. And another issue is funding for small systems who are taking the needed effort to consolidate their schools, trying to combine schools to lower operating costs. So this bill will give the DOE a pathway to allow for low wealth capital outlay designations in these two very narrowly and tightly drawn circumstances. Be glad to answer questions, Mr. Chairman, if there are any.
Okay, any questions for Senator Burke? Yes, sir. Senator, again, just a second. Let me put you on here. Where are you? Get you. 1, 2, 3. You're on the second row.
One of the things that when you consolidate schools, does that mean that if I've read this, that location would be either or one of the two schools that's existing, or they could go build a new school? Be totally separate from where they're at.
Right, they could build a new school.
The purpose is to consolidate two schools and build a new school to take the place of one school to take the place of two. That's consolidation for capital outlay. Okay. Other questions? Yeah, Senator Jones, there you go. You're on.
I didn't hear the question, Mr. Chairman. You're talking about two separate school systems completely combining? I'm not sure that this would help in that scenario unless they were low income.
I think there's another whole set of qualifications for consolidation. It's encouraged. It's encouraged, but it's not in this. It's not addressed in this bill, I don't believe. I think, but it does exist already. Consolidated two different systems. We've got a few in the state. Other questions? All right, send it again.
If you were abandoning the two schools and you're building a off-site school, different school, what happens to the other two previous schools?
I think that would be up to the local school board to decide what to do with them. I think in this particular case that we're discussing, these are very old buildings. I'm not sure, what kind of life they have moving forward, but that would be up to the local school district.
So they may have reached their end of useful life?
Yes.
I think there's a 20-year requirement. They have to be over 20 years old to qualify. Okay. Any other questions on 67? Senator Mullis. I move to pass. A motion do pass by Senator Mullis. Who was the second? Okay. Okay, Senator Underman is second. Discussion on the motion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor of 67 passing out as presented by Senator Burke, please raise your hand. All right, and all opposed? I don't see any opposing votes. 67 passes out. Thank you, Senator Burke. It's still dark in here. I don't know. I thought the lights were turned on. It may take a while, but we'll try to muddle through here. I'm going to call House Bill 30 up, the Supplemental Appropriations Bill for 2019. First of all, let me just thank the Senate Budget and Evaluation Office and the analysts who are all here with us this morning, bright and early. We appreciate y'all being here today. They put in a lot of hard work to get to where we are today, and I just want to recognize them for the ongoing hard work. If you haven't availed yourself of the opportunity of the excellent staff we have, then I encourage you to do that as well. Also, subcommittee chairs, those of you who are members of all of you are members of at least two committees. Thank you for going through the process and considering this amended budget. We don't have there's not a lot in the amended budget by design. That's the way we see it, and an amended budget should be pretty thin, pretty much of a true up, and with not a lot of new initiatives. We want to consider all of those in the general budget as well. So all of you on the Appropriations Committee, I salute you for your work in getting to this point this morning. The amended 2019 budget totals $26.9 billion. It's built on a 3.3% fund growth rate over the FY18 collections. Budget now contains $1.204 billion in lottery proceeds. That's an increase of about 0.25% over last year. In motor fuel taxes and fees, this budget contains $1.895 billion with total transportation revenues at $2.08 billion. That's about, as you remember, that's about double the amount of money we were putting in transportation just a few years ago. As you know, the amended budget each year trues up formulas, contains the mid-year education adjustment based on enrollment counts, and has a minimum of new budget items, and this year is no exception. The headline additions to the FY19 amended budget are basically mostly proposals by Governor Kemp. Some of these are school security grants, some $69.4 million in school security grants, providing $30,000 to every school in the state. There's $8.4 million to expand the APEX program to provide support counselors for mental health services at high schools. There's $5.6 billion for hazardous waste cleanup. There's $35.7 million to reimburse counties for property taxes that are lost under the Forest Land Protection Act. That should bring us pretty much up to date as well. The mid-year education adjustment, which comes out of the reserve, is $86.3 million this year. It covers the October count, and it also covers the T&E salary schedule as well. The Senate agreed with a number of House and Governor ads and put in a few ads that are brought forward by our Senate subcommittees. In K-12 education, the Senate added $500,000 for coding labs in middle schools in rural and low-wealth areas. In higher education, the Senate added $2.08 million to the dual enrollment program and trued up the Hope Scholarship and the Zell Miller Scholarships as well. The Senate agreed with the governor's add of $326,000 to promote early literacy through a statewide children's digital library. We agreed with the governor and the House to include $35 million for Chattahoochee Technical College to establish an aviation academy at the Paulding County Airport. The Senate agreed to a $9.9 million add for Augusta Health Systems for pediatric and adult clinical radiation therapy renovations and expansion projects. and healthcare is a total of $71.9 million in increases in state funds from Medicaid. Just as an aside, as of today, we're putting in $3.2 billion in Medicaid in state funds to go with the $7.2 billion in federal funds. So today's Medicaid program is over $10 billion in present-day funds for the program we now have. The state funds amount to about $300 in taxes for every man, woman, and child in the state. The Senate agreed with the governor and the House to fund $9.3 million to Mercer University to establish a 4-year medical campus in Columbus. The Senate also added $250,000 to reduce the waiting list for Meals on Wheels. There's also an ad in the 20 budget as well. The Senate added $350,000 for an Alzheimer's public awareness campaign to match up with the screening program that we've started in the last few years in cooperation with Emory University. The Senate added $33,000 for the Champions for Children program to bring the total to $513,000 in new funds for the Champions for Children program. The Senate also agreed to fund the GBI for $751,000 in equipment and vehicles to bring the cybercrime unit up to full operating capacity, and also added $1.3 million for 11 positions to the cybercrime unit. The Senate also added to the GBI some $350,000 in one-time funding for an app for school safety with the title, See Something, Say Something. The House added $10 million for disaster relief for farmers in Southwest Georgia. The Senate added another $8 million for a total of $18 million that will be going to the farmers in Southwest Georgia in additional funds. Additionally, the Senate added $2 million to assist hospitals damaged in the hurricane last fall. The funding will apply only to counties with an under 35,000 population. Ladies and gentlemen, those are what I consider the highlights of the amended budget. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Busey is here. She's our expert, so we can turn to her if I can't answer them, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have right now. Well, Senator Walker.
Mr. Chairman, the $18 million in additional funds for Southwest Georgia ag farmers, is that a loan? Is that going into the loan program?
That's going to the Georgia Development Authority through that loan program, yes.
Is it a no-interest loan or low-interest loan?
Senator Burke says low interest.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any other lights on. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Senator Davenport. Oh, there you are. I see you now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think I was coming in. You were explaining the health care and Medicaid. Can you go over that again for me? The total amount for Medicaid. Wait.
Yeah, I'll get the. I added up the additions in this budget to Medicaid program, and then looked at the budget to see basically how much we're spending on Medicaid in Georgia. That's not all. There's a few other programs where Medicaid does pay into, but basically the Medicaid program as we know it, we're appropriating $3.2 billion in state funds for Medicaid. Then through the federal match, which is 66% match, that totals about $7.2 billion. So you add those two together, that's about $10.4 billion going into Georgia in the present day Medicaid program.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Senator Mullis, you have a light on?
I would like to make a motion if we're ready for that.
Well, we don't want to rush it, but I'll be glad to entertain any further questions. With no further questions, we'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we pass House Bill 30 by committee substitute.
Have a motion to pass, Senator Alvarez second, Senator Tippins. If all in favor of passing out House Bill 30 by substitute, please raise your hand. All right, thank you. All opposed? I do not see an opposed vote. House Bill 30 passes out by substitute. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Thank you.
Survival automated cards, so it'll come to you, so you can see what it looks like from that standpoint. You'll I appreciate that. Here's what